Yesterday, in the commercial break, RJ was reacting to a topic that a lot of these shows had on. I mean, again, just showing the power of the Cowboys. Brandin Cooks makes them the lead story. Brandin Cooks. He goes to any other team in the National Football League, and they're not the lead story. A guy traded for 5th and 6th round picks. But that's the power of the star. And one of their topics, Ralph, that you pretty quickly disagreed with, they were arguing whether the Cowboys were the most improved team or they had the best offseason in the NFL so far.
Yeah, and my first thought was, if you go by value, absolutely. They gave up very little. They're paying out very little. Dollars to production is probably really, really good. But that doesn't mean they're having the best offseason of anybody in the NFL. They obviously, do you factor in who they brought back? See, the Cowboys love to say this, Sean. They love to say, we had a lot of free agents. They were all their own guys.
Right. Draft and develop.
Yeah, draft and develop.
It's where spending went. We spent on our guys. We like our guys.
Yeah, but they also did lose Dalton Schultz, which is not nothing. Connor McGovern, which is not nothing. Zeke is nothing. But people love to talk about Luke Gifford because they love special teams. They did lose a corner. So I just don't know how anybody could say they had the best offseason in the NFL. I don't know how you can remotely even come close to saying that. I went and just did a very brief look at some of the rankings of best off seasons online, and now if you watch Get Up or First Take, they'll tell you the Cowboys did. There's one that's the Cowboys 13th. I think it's a little low.
It's
a little low. But
CBS yesterday had them as an A.
It's an A off season.
Eric Moody from ESPN the other day put them as, when they asked who had the most impressive offseason, listed them. Here's the problem is that
if it's an A off season, how can it not be the best off season?
Because even Sporty News has them 13th, gives them an A minus.
Okay, so there's 12.
Which means there's 12 other teams that got A pluses or A's.
Okay,
but who? Who's like to me? I'm sitting here. I'm thinking of some of the names that have come out that people say have had really good off seasons. So the Dolphins. Dolphins are one because they go ahead. They get Jalen Ramsey. Yeah. They get Mike White, who's going to be a solid backup, insurance in case anything happens with Tua. There's those sorts of things.
I think the Cowboys had as good of a better offseason than Miami. But they gave a
the list?
Big contract. Yeah, I got the list. So Chicago definitely had a better offseason
than Dallas.
They added a true number one wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
They added the two best linebackers on the market. One is a pass rush linebacker, the other one isn't. And the one they overpaid for, but the other one, TJ Edwards, who was the second or third highest graded linebacker this year at
really
PFF.
Good. Yeah, they
gave him peanuts of a contract.
Balances though how much they gave Tremaine Edmonds.
It does.
They gave him $18 million a year.
The Jets had a better offseason. You can't argue that one.
Oh, I think that's TBD with the Jets.
Are we not going to assume that? Are you TBD that Rodgers gets traded or TBD after he plays?
TBD in terms of what is the compensation for Rodgers? How much do they end up sacrificing to bring him there? The peripheral moves they've made are just to make Rodgers happy. They haven't. If you take Rodgers out of the equation, it's an unspectacular offseason. Once you put Rodgers in the equation, there's still questions about how good Rodgers is going to be. And even if you think he's going to be good, how much capital do you give up to get him?
I think when to me, there's no such thing as overpaying for a quarterback.
Unless he's not good anymore.
Well, again, I don't care. I don't judge trades 3 years down the road. I judge them today.
Well, you got to judge his age today and whether he's fallen off.
And that's why I wouldn't give 2 1s for him.
Yeah.
But I'd give a 1.
So if they gave 2 1s, which I don't think they're going to do, but if they gave 2 1s, that would then shift your perspective on the Jets offseason, right?
Slightly.
So we don't know what they're giving up for Rodgers yet. So I think we just got to view it as incomplete with the Jets. You don't know, because until you know what compensation you're giving up and everything else, you can't truly grade what they are.
So the other ones on the list that they have, Bears 1, Jets 2. I didn't understand. I didn't agree with this one. They had Houston 3. Now, the volume that they got was exceptional. I mean, they had I mean, they got Sheldon Rankins, Jimmy Ward, Robert Woods, Noah Brown, Dalton Schultz.
Tunsil re-signed. Are we counting their head coaching hire? I don't know.
See, I think
Chase Winovich.
I think Houston's had a decent offseason. They got played on the Cooks deal, but like they got Schultz for a deal and they brought in Robert Woods for a deal, and Robert Woods is a good receiver. And so, I mean, I think that they've done a good job of putting themselves in position to have a very friendly system for their rookie quarterback to transition into the NFL as easily as possible. So I think they've had a good offseason. I wouldn't put them ahead of Dallas, but
then they had Detroit, who picked up 3 corners and a guard. And then they went crazy and got a running back. I don't know why. Atlanta, which I didn't understand. I didn't get Atlanta there. But there were several other teams like Cincinnati who picked up. Obviously, you get Orlando Brown, who's a really, really good player. And they also solidified the interior of that offensive line. My thing is we got 2 names.
Yes, 2 names.
And that's the issue. We got guys that are past their prime. I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and say they're getting 2 guys past their prime. It means that you had the best offseason in the NFL.
I think Stephon Gilmore and Brandin Cooks are both really good players, just outside of even considering what the compensation is. I think when you then include the compensation, the Cowboys got great deals without sacrifice.
This is the best value in the league without question.
Fantastic value, got 2 really good players, and then I think you look at Ronald Jones, Chuma Edoga, those deals that those guys signed yesterday for basically $1.5 million, both of them. That's good value and good contributions that I think you're going to be able to get. And so I don't know. I'm just saying it goes to the collective.
No one ever heard of the offensive lineman ever. And
yes,
Ronald Jones,
you guys talked about him.
And Ronald Jones is he's a nobody.
He's a nobody.
He's a nobody. They also lost.
Did they improve at running back?
I don't know.
I
mean, if Tony Pollard's healthy and he's the starter. Yeah, they improved at running back.
And they improved at running back.
I'm not saying they improved because of Ronald Jones.
But Ronald Jones and Pollard he's
a body.
It's Ronald Jones and Pollard is Ronald.
And you're
Jones,
also making Gilmore like an all-pro. Like you're making me feel like RJ. Like I'm getting ready to turn a little bit. Stephon Gilmore may not be very good. There's a reason he did get dealt for a 5th. The rest of the league spoke. We just are in love that we just gave up a 5th. So we all want to do backflips. There's also a reason that no one gave up a 4th. We have to keep that in mind. We have to be realistic with it. Brandin Cooks was also gotten for a 5th and a 6th. The rest of the league did not speak and say he was available for a 4th. We're happy because we gave up nothing for 2 names. I'm happy about it, but I feel like you're homering it up a little bit.
I'm not homering it in terms of is it value? Like we all agree.
They got value. They got guys that are past their prime.
Now Cooks is better right now than Michael Gallup is. You improved your receiving core, which was something that you had to set out to do. You improved it for a cheaper value than you probably could have found. You got as good a player for as little as you spent as probably possible. Resource management was top of the line at receiver.
Maybe DeAndre. We'll see.
I mean, even still, DeAndre, you're going to probably have to pay more money to than Cooks. So just in terms of spending, you couldn't get better than what they spent.
Yeah, but look, we're not talking about spend. We're talking about improvement.
And Gilmore is still, to this day, a top 5 man coverage corner. So
right now, today, he's a top 5 corner.
I think you're crazy. Man coverage.
Down.
I think you're crazy.
In man coverage, he absolutely is.
Okay.
He is still very, very good.
He's a top 5 man corner in the National Football League today.
Yes.
Okay. I would disagree with that, but I hope I'm wrong. I think that's actually borderline nuts.
I'm always right. So,
well,
I mean, you don't even have to wonder, Sean.
Yeah. So, and again, is there a difference between best offseason, most improved, value? You can break these things into categories.
Yeah, they definitely, I think they got the best value because they got 2 guys that are not expensive and they got them for basically nothing. Or as a song, as we said the other day. But, I mean, the Broncos got 2 starting offensive linemen basically in their prime.
They did, yeah. They had to spend a lot.
Yeah, they did. But some like the Bears. Like I don't like spending, but you have to spend a certain amount of your cap every 3 or 4 years.
By the way, Jared
by the rule.
Sandler with a note on Ronald Jones when he was in the middle of his first training camp at USC. He admitted to early struggles due to being homesick and specifically mentioned that he missed Whataburger. So that'll make him even more loved from the Tolos.
There you go.
Yeah, we swapped out a Whataburger hater for a Whataburger lover.
That's right.
Dalton Schultz was not a fan.
No, he wasn't a fan. Randy Gregory was also an In-N-Out fan of a Whataburger. But I
Dalton
knew
Schultz,
you weren't going to bring that up because that's your boy.
Dalton Schultz doesn't like In-N-Out or Whataburger. He thinks they're both terrible. So he gets people mad in the Stanford area and the Dallas area.
Yeah.
He's just kind of like, I don't care. Which I kind of respect the gall it takes to be able to say that in Texas. Yeah. I don't agree with it, but I respect
He's like the Dylan Brooks of food. That's who Dalton Schultz is. Anyone who wears that little headband like that, I can't stand that. That's very Stanfordy. Shout out to his wife though, who I heard is a Tolo. Shout out. All right. Speaking of development, Jalen Tolbert was asked about his disappointing rookie season, and can he help out Brandin Cooks, CeeDee Lamb, and Gallup?
This rookie year was by far the worst that I've had and far from what I wanted for myself, but I know that I needed it, and God knows that I needed it, and the coaches know that I needed it. So it was a good time for me to be able to adjust and get a grip for all positions, and in the future I can play inside out, go wherever it's asked of me, play wherever they ask me to play. So I'm excited to continue to grow there and just continue to work.
And that's from Haley Sutton's Twitter account.
Yeah,
one of your few misses, Bobby, so far. Early on, very early.
Yeah, no, and I own up to, at this point, missing it even more than I did because he went in the third round, and I was upset they took Sam Williams in the second over him. Like, I wanted Tolbert there, and he just didn't click for him the way it needed to. And he talked about there, he said, well, now I can play inside, outside. I think that, when you've heard Steven talk about it, that was the issue, is that they threw too much at him. And the one thing I'm a little concerned about, because I think if there's one area where before I've been like, man, I wish the Cowboys would shift their perspective a little bit on the draft, it's ruling out a lot of smaller school guys. That they typically go, nope, we want to see that you've done it on the big stage. Not just that you've done it on the big stage, but that you can handle being a big name player on a big name stage where all the attention is on you like it is in Dallas. And then they kind of broke with that a little bit with Jalen Tolbert in the third round. And I would be concerned that they would go, all right, well, these are the kind of reasons why we don't like doing this. We get a small school guy that he couldn't handle the inside-outside stuff we asked of him.
Because they had a thing for Boise State for a while, or did we remove them out of a small category?
So I've talked to scouts before that will tell you Boise State and North Dakota State, you cannot refer to them as small schools anymore. North Dakota State specifically, as somebody told me, they're like, they've put 3 consecutive quarterbacks in the NFL. You don't do that as a small program.
Yeah, but they're any good.
It's still, we TBD on Lance, but yeah.